Charles Kirschner doesn't say the kinds of things you would expect to hear from a chocolatier. When talking about his growing chocolate company, he might say something like,
if you go into a room and you yell out carbon sequestration, I'm sure not many people's faces would be lit up and get very excited.
And if you ask him about how he got into the business, it would include this.
After my Peace Corps experience, came to the University of Vermont for a master's in applied economics, and then continued on to a PhD in forestry.
In other words, talking to Kirschner can make for some unexpected connections. For example, when Kirschner talks about his business, the link between carbon sequestration, economics, forestry, and chocolate is not immediately clear. But there is a connection between them, and that connection is for the birds.
There's been a unique partnership we've developed between land trusts in the Northeast, businessmen in the Dominican Republic, and actually investing in habitat to protect a migratory bird called the Bicknell's thrush. This bird flies every year thousands of miles from Vermont to the Dominican Republic, and overwinters in the Dominican Republic, returns to Vermont, Adirondacks in the Northeast for breeding season.
That's right. Kirschner makes chocolate to save birds. The roots of the project stretch back to the time he spent as a Peace Corps volunteer in the Dominican Republic.
So my assignment was to work with small-scale producers in chocolate production, so improving post-harvest fermenting and post-harvest production techniques.
Kirschner was stationed in a small village in the northeast mountainous region of the country, where he experienced the area's economic dependence on chocolate, as well as the biodiversity features that make the area, especially cacao farms, uniquely important to the Bicknell's thrush. As Kirschner neared the end of his service, he wanted a way to stay connected to the area.
I remember we were with a bunch of community members around me, and we were passing coconut trees and cacao trees, and thinking, wow, this would be really neat to bring this project full circle. So how neat would it be to work with the farmers in the Dominican Republic, but also make the chocolate and share that experience.
In the years since then, Kirschner has partnered with a number of people and organizations, from ornithologists at the Vermont Center for Eco-Studies to Dominican government and business representatives. He's also been working towards his PhD in forestry, which includes identifying cost-effective conservation areas. In the small amount of free time he has left, he's been perfecting his chocolate recipe.
The color's great. Yeah.
With cacao beans from a farming partner in the Dominican Republic.
Stop.
That brings us here, to the New World Commercial Kitchen and Bakery in Winooski.
When that melanger is going, you smell the chocolate outside. So we have people that will come in asking, where's the chocolate, where's the chocolate?
Metivier works with a variety of small producers, and with her husband, has a line of salsas and drink mixes. Like Kirschner, she knows about getting a small business off the ground.
You know, when you're starting out in your own home and you're in a stock pot and one pot makes 12 jars, and then you go to 20-gallon steam kettles, you know, where you're making 10 to 20 cases, you know, at a whack. That's a big difference.
Metivier rents this space to producers like Kirschner by the hour. She also helps companies to make, package, and develop their products. The business is expanding. The kitchen stays busy through word of mouth. Kirschner found them when he needed a new place to work on his recipe.
When I returned to the U.S., I started tinkering with chocolate making in my house. And my wife finally kicked me out of the kitchen. What they do is they crack open those pods, and then out come the beans. They usually take them by mule.
Most chocolate makers start with chocolate that has already been partially processed. His partnership with the cacao farmers means that Kirschner gets the beans at an earlier stage, which allows him to play a much larger part in how his beans are processed.
What we do is we take the beans after they've been grown and then are fermented and dried, and then ship them here to the U.S. And then we go through a long process of sorting through those beans, roasting them, grinding them, winnowing them, and then putting them into a melanger, which is a granite wheel system that essentially takes the nib form and brings it down to liqueur. And then we temper, pack it, and sell it.
Making chocolate Kirschner's way is quite a process. But it's a labor of love that Kirschner says preserves the distinct notes of cherry and citrus that are unique to his blend.
It's kind of like a farm to table on an international level.
Matt Byrong owns Three Squares Cafe in Vergennes. A longtime friend of Kirschner's, Byrong is now also a business partner. He's working with Kirschner to develop the chocolate.
If you told me a year ago I was going to be involved with a 1,000-acre cacao farm in the Dominican Republic with half of it being habitat preservation for an endangered Bicknell's thrush, I would have told you you were out of your mind. But here we are having this conversation.
The two have spent countless hours in the kitchen.
At this point, I'm kind of an aspiring Willy Wonka. I am processing the beans that come to us from the farm. They get to me fermented and dried. So we do the roasting, the cleaning, the processing into the base chocolate, and finally the tempering and molding them into bars for resale.
The bars are sold locally in Burlington and Winooski, and Byrong is also experimenting with the chocolate as an ingredient. He uses it in the usual places, such as pastries and hot drinks, but also in some more unusual recipes.
We're integrating it in with specials right now. We've been messing around with a few different mole recipes. We've been using it in some stews. It's become a part of our base recipe for our various chilies.
Reaction to both the chocolate and the project has been positive. In Vermont, where the chocolate is being sold, as well as in the Dominican Republic, where the farm that Kirschner works with has been designated as a land reserve.
The idea is that we're not just trading a commodity, and you're not just eating a commodity, that it is more connection to place and connection to food and products that you can consume, and you're not just eating them, you're understanding where they come from, and you get to know the farmers. Not everybody can go to the Dominican Republic and have the same experience I had. They can at least partake in it by eating fantastic chocolate.
Helping to make the world a better place by making chocolate. Charles Kirschner has his recipe for success. In Winooski, I'm Rebecca Gullen with Across the Fence.